John, but this would be interesting. I have a question for you. I'm a broadcaster now with the Yes Network and the Marlins, and I'm seeing more injuries now than I've ever seen. And you see players, and I talk to players nowadays and how much they do after the game, after the season ends, and how they just do not rest. And I think that plays a big part of injury. What did you do after the season? How much did you let your body just say, okay, I've had enough and I'll pick up a ball whenever? For us, when we played to October, we did nothing for 2 months. November, December, zero. January is when the first time we picked up a
It
ball,
was
never threw off a mound at all until we got to spring training.
it was New Year's basic. It kind of depending on when and how far we went, honestly. Like there were certain years like '08 was a little different because that was obviously the last year of the old stadium and we didn't make it. So I was done in October. So I started right before Christmas because it was like I basically gave myself almost 2 months. And
Right.
so my whole demeanor was like 2 months. It's a struggle for me now as a father. My son is 19 years old and a pitcher in college. And they don't take breaks. And you and I and Goody and the guys that have had the grind of this game, sometimes less is more. And these kids
Right.
don't understand that. And what's the frustrating part about it is, as being a father and wanting to tell them that, I'm not your coach.
Right.
But now they're telling you, hey, you need to do this weighted program, you need to do this, you need to do that. And it's not ever like, hey, take a freaking 3 weeks and go hang out with your buddies, go relax, go hang out. Because I would be, and you know this as well as I do, when you would get a kid with, get called up a September call up and he's running sprints and stuff. We've been going for 10 months, dog. Stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we have beat ourselves up for so long. And I think it's completely, I think it's overkill. And Goody and we had this conversation on his segment on Monday where it's why injuries are becoming more prevalent early in spring training is because their workload never stops.
Right. There was more Tommy Johns in 2023 than there was in the whole 1990 era.
Mhm.
And a
Mhm.
lot of it, a lot of it's different. You sit there and broadcasting. I'm involved with some of the Players Association, and there's a lot going on as far as some of the reason why. Because the agents has gotten involved in a lot of it. Uh, you know, Players 20 years ago, and it may be Java, you were part of that. Guys played through things. You never had an MRI if your elbow felt sore, your shoulder felt sore, if your knee felt sore. You just played through things,
I
and you
never
say,
wanted
okay,
one.
hey,
I never wanted
right,
one, but you knew Stevie and Gino. They would make sure your
yeah,
ass got one.
Yeah.
yeah, and now it's all about, and when back when it was a DL, not the IL, it was frowned upon to go on the IL, because that was part of your pay. If you went on the IL, then you were like, oh, this guy's an injured player. He's had some problems during the season. So guys play through things. Now the IL is looked at as, hey, this is a vacation. Let's we don't have to worry about how that's going to affect our contract. And agents get involved and say, hey, if you feel anything, just say, hey, I'm not going to, I can't pitch through this or I can't play through this. And they immediately go on the 15-day IL or the
Protects your
10-day
service
IL.
time. Yeah.
Right, because it doesn't affect their contract because they're going to still get paid at the end. And nowadays, I read an article last year about Tommy John that because of the agents, because how things are now with MRIs, that maybe 20 years ago, when you see a little tiny like tear or a little fray in the ulnar collateral nerve, oh, you pitch through it or you rehab through it. Now they're like, oh, Tommy John, Tommy, just get it. You're fine. You're out for a year. It's not going to affect your contract going forward. So a lot of the injuries are that way. And like Jabba said, guys don't stop. And you look at the Yankees now and the injuries. You look at Stanton. Who knows what the hell he's got going on? I mean, two bicep tendon. How's that happen? And now you have Clark Smith. That's I have an angry back. It's like, when is enough enough? And how do you get around these injuries? And a lot of it starts when you, Jabba, you have a 19-year-old. I've been involved in youth baseball when I worked with MLB.com for years, and I've seen these guys. They play games. The summer baseball is almost as much as a major league schedule,
And
and they're 11 and 12, 13 and 14 years old.
it's
It's
something.
like, okay, when's it stop?
Jeff, I was drafted by the Yankees twice. I went back and signed back with the Yankees in 21, and that's when they really started. It was really taboo when I was there in 12 through 16 to really throw weighted balls. They were kind of behind the times where Trevor Bauer was sort of pushing that
Right.
weighted ball stuff and really getting into analytics with Driveline. Then when I signed back in 21, they were heavy. They had the whole gas station out. I'm sure you've been to spring training. You've seen it out there. They have all the thing. Well, I ran into Sam Breen, and Sam Breen is director of pitching with the Yankees, extremely intelligent guy from Driveline. Helped me out a lot on some of the stuff because I wasn't really a big analytical guy until that year.
Right.
And then that's when I started learning, okay, this is how, this is how we need to move down the mound biomechanically. They also have some force plates down there in Tampa where you put all the little balls all over you, and they show you how you move and how efficient you are throughout your delivery, which I thought was really cool. But I will say that year was probably one of the best years, like the most fun years I've had playing.
Yeah.
I mean, I spent pretty much the whole year in AAA, but the emphasis on winning took a back seat to the emphasis on stuff. And so guys would go out, they would pitch an inning or not even get through an inning, give up 3 runs, 30 pitches, they get yanked. And then the next day they come in, what was my vert? And I'm sitting there. I'm the older guy.
Right.
What I'm like, who cares what it was? You didn't even get anybody out. You threw 35 pitches and we blew through 3 guys. So I can understand your frustration there. I definitely think there's a place for analytics. Like you said, I don't think it's the end all be all, but I think guys like yourself and former players who can learn the analytics, internalize it, and then be able to spew that out to players in a way that's digestible will give them a chance to not only hear some of the old school, I guess, frame of mind, the way that we think, mindset, and sprinkle in a little bit of analytics to where they can kind of blend it as their own. Because like you said, a lot of guys nowadays will have a toenail and be like, oh, DL or IL.
Jeff, before we let you go, okay, me and Joba have been going back and forth about this, and he's adamant that
Joba should have been a starter. They shouldn't have messed with him. I would have started Joba, no doubt, if I was a pitcher.
We have this bet, and I'm still adamant that if I have 5 chances to steal against them, I'm stealing against them. 5 chances, I'm stealing at least one time. And I don't want to hear any excuses when I do it. What do you think?
I'm just wondering how you're getting on first off of Joba anyway.
I'm a ghost runner. I have to steal against them. I said I could steal against them.
So have you played baseball before?
Baseball. Yes, I did. I played high school ball. I was a pretty good baseball player, and I actually was a base stealer. So I'm actually pretty good. But hey, Joba thinks, well, I wasn't in the big leagues, so I can't do it. I'm just saying, I'm an athlete. I'm telling him I'm an athlete. I have the 200-meter record.
Here we go.
I can run.
Joba did have a high leg kick, so he did.
Yeah. Get him.
He also, I think there may be a chance, maybe. But that's saying I don't think. I mean, if you start on first, but you're not getting to first if you have to start from home plate off the top.